Hello, in this video I'm going to talk about task 3 of the second AAT sample assessment for DAIF. This one is fully written, but it is only 8 marks. It's about reporting framework, so it's all the stuff on the conceptual framework, of which there's sort of key points that you have to know, but it's 8 marks, so don't spend a month of Sundays knowing every little detail at the expense of not being able to do a cash flow statement, for example. Right? You've got to keep things in perspective when you're preparing for the exam. So part A says explain, and I'm emphasising that command word explain. It's for 4 marks, so I've got to say quite a bit. The objective of the general purpose financial reporting based on the IFRS conceptual framework. So a lot of words, but it's just asking me for the objective of the framework. So a good technique with these written questions is just to kind of, what they call it, just kind of splurge out all the thoughts that come into your head, and then you can kind of make sentences around the bits that you want to keep. So when I'm thinking about the objective, I'm thinking it enables users to make decisions. The accounts are consistently prepared, which enables comparisons. But then I'm thinking, I'm not going to get 4 marks for that. So let me kind of beef this up a bit. So the main objective is to provide information about. Now, what did my financial statements provide information about? So the position in the statement of financial position, the performance in the statement of profit or loss. Don't really want to use abbreviations. It's a bit of a mouthful, but I've just I would type that out in full. And cash flow. I think that's fairly obvious where that provides information about the position, the performance, and the cash flow of an entity. This, and I'll probably return that and start a new sentence, new point. This enables users to make decisions, let's say make key decisions. And I was still thinking that's probably not enough for 4 marks. So I would then build into my knowledge the main users of a set of financial statements are investors and lenders. So I could then say investors would be using them to make decisions about whether or not to invest based on likely returns and gains. Lenders would be making decisions about whether or not to lend based on likelihood of being repaid within the terms agreed, something like that. And then I could add the accounts are consistently prepared when based on the framework, which enables comparisons to be made between different entities easily when making decisions. So that's what I would probably do if I was in an exam. I'm just going to have a quick look at the the suggested answer. So they have said 1 mark for reference to the following points to a maximum of 4. And there's 6 available points, and it does also say any other relevant points may be awarded marks. So fairly generous mark scheme. So let's see what the key points are. The objective is to provide information about, something along the lines of what I've got in that first paragraph, about the reporting entity. They've given a mark for that as well. So if I was generous, I might think 2 marks there. That is useful to existing and potential investors. They've given a mark there. Lenders, a mark, and other creditors, another mark. Didn't say that one. In making decisions, definitely said that, about providing resources to the entity. So I'd be fairly happy how that would have got me 4 marks, actually. Let's move down. Identify 2 characteristics of ordinary share capital. So key things to note here, it's identify. A command word of identify is just state it. And they want 2, and it's only 2 marks, so it's obviously a mark for each one. It's ordinary share capital as opposed to preference share capital. So hopefully you know the key differences. So one is voting, and one is the order they are paid dividends. They would be the first 2 that pop into my head. You could also have the order they're paid out in the event of liquidation. You could have the point that the dividends are variable and not guaranteed. But then what I would do is just sort of make these into sentences. So ordinary share capital, ordinary shareholders have voting rights. And then the second point, they are paid dividends after preference shareholders have received their dividends. I would probably, just if I've gone against what I just said, but I would probably say these dividend amounts can vary in the case of ordinary shareholders. Right, let me have a look and see what the mark scheme says for this one. So they've given, there's 8 possible things you could have said, and it's only 2 marks. So they've said they have a percentage stake in the company. They've said they're classified as equity, whereas preference shareholders are liabilities. Shareholders are entitled to vote is 1 mark, so I would have got that. Shareholders receive dividends which is a percentage of profit. Didn't exactly say that. Dividends are paid at the company's discretion. Dividends are variable. I've said that. That would get me a mark. Share capital is only repaid when a company is wound up. Ordinary shareholders are the last to be paid when a company is wound up. Didn't exactly say that either. So I would have got 2 marks. It does also say any other relevant points may be awarded marks. So quite easy, really. If I had to predict, it's, a lot of the real AAT exams are quite similar to the mocks, some questions at least. So, an obvious alternative question would be 2 characteristics of preference share capital. So do make sure you have a look at those. And then part C is just ticking boxes. So identify whether each of the following qualitative characteristics is fundamental or enhancing. Well, I've learnt this. So I know that the fundamental ones are relevance and faithful representation. And the enhancing 4 are verifiability, understandability, comparability, and timeliness. So that concludes task 4. task 3 even. Sorry.